Hi, thanks very much for clicking on the video link. My name is Natalie Armstrong-Motin with Marketing Resolution, but this is another in the series of idle chat conversations for the American Bar Association's Section for Dispute Resolution. And today, although we're talking about the ABA's idle chat, I'm in Normandy, France. My colleague John is on the Gold Coast of Australia. So for me, good morning. For you, good evening. How are you, John?
Very good, thank you. And it's great to be here with you.
I'm so glad you could join me. This is so much fun. How are things in Australia?
Warm. Today's been particularly warm. I'm on the Gold Coast, which is sort of halfway up the eastern side of the country, and so around Brisbane's the capital, and we've had some nice hot days of late. So it's been a big one today.
Very nice. And I know you're headed out on holidays soon. Get in a little surfing, a little napping. Take a little time, enjoy the season. Good for you. Well, John, I have these cards here, and you may have seen previous videos of Idle Chat. I've expanded the stack of questions a bit for 2023. So we don't know, maybe there's a big surprise in the deck of cards for you.
Who knows?
Who knows? All right.
Luck of the draw, as they say.
Luck of the draw. So let's give a shuffle to the deck. See what we're going to be talking about. All right, my friend John. Sir, do you prefer ebook, paperback, or hardcover when you're reading?
I'd say paperback for sure. Yeah, I think for carrying them, because I often have to commute by train and things like that. So when I'm on that, the paperback's light, and I'm just, I guess, a bit of a dinosaur. I like having the physical. Maybe I'm a bit tactile, but I like having the physical pages. So a soft cover book would be my preference.
I agree. If I really have to pack light, I don't mind the ebook, but I much prefer holding the book.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, John, what did you like most about the place you grew up?
Well, I guess pretty much everything about it, because where I grew up, where I was born and raised, is here. I was very fortunate in my youth. My family, we traveled around Australia for 13 months, and I lived another year of my life over in Denmark as an exchange student with Rotary. But other than that, so I've had a great opportunity to see lots of places in the world. And I guess I'm a little biased because, again, I was born here, but the Gold Coast really is a pretty fantastic place. Within about 3 minutes of where I'm sitting in my home office is the Pacific Ocean. And then if I go about 40 minutes the other direction, I've got some really beautiful tropical rainforests with waterfalls and so on, and pretty consistent weather all the year round. So about 300 days of sunshine. So yeah, it's a pretty good place to live.
Oh, you're making me jealous, John, making me jealous. Thought we were friends. John, the next card is, how did you get into the resolution industry? How did you find your way to mediation and being a mediation trainer?
I often describe myself as a reformed lawyer, because I was a commercial litigator for a long time, and of course through that process, you inevitably find yourself in mediations representing one party or the other. I think for me, I had an epiphany that for my client to be happy, somebody else's client had to be unhappy. Whereas as a mediator, I find that I can assist both parties to leave something with, that they can feel comfortable with, and sort of not cause too much damage to relationships and so on. So I guess I was attracted to giving both people an outcome rather than just one of them. And so, yeah, I moved exclusively into the space probably about a decade ago, or maybe a little bit over a decade ago. So which was a big leap, to leave what I knew and professionally was all I ever did was litigate, to move into mediation exclusively. Well, practicing it and teaching it now, but that was a pretty big leap for me, but I wouldn't go back now.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. John, next card reads, what is your proudest accomplishment?
I could be really generic and say my two girls, who are just awesome human beings, but I would probably, beyond that, I don't know. It'd be a bit of a tie, really. The Rotary Youth Exchange that I did for a year in Denmark ranks very, very highly in who I am today, and has influenced a lot of what I've done and some of the path I've taken. So that would be up there. But otherwise, perhaps, yeah, I think just in the delivery of training that I do in the mediation space, helping others, follow that dream to become, dispute resolution practitioners, because I think it really is quite a privilege when people trust you to get in the middle of their disputes and assist them to resolve it, and therefore to assist others find that privilege as well. I find that quite a proud thing. So it'll be a tie between all three of those things: my kids, my Rotary Youth Exchange, and delivering training in the DR space.
All of those deserving of your pride. Good job, John. Yeah. All right, next card. Let's see. Is there anything about ADR that you think most people get wrong?
I don't necessarily think so. Perhaps though, for people starting out in the space, it would be, I guess, thinking that they know what the parties, think they know what they think they know about the parties in dispute. You just don't know that, and so sometimes people find it really difficult to take off their hat of whatever profession they might have come from, and then just empower the parties to come up with their own solutions. So I think that's the hard thing in ADR is thinking what's in the best interest of the parties, when really that's their job.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Ooh, next card, John. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. Dogs, but I do like both. I mean, in fact, I'm a bit of an animal person. When I was a young kid growing up, we lived on a farm. My parents, we lived on a farm, so we had cats and dogs and chickens and pigs and horses and cows and goats. So we had everything. But if I had to choose between cats and dogs, I'd go dogs. All
right. There's no right answer. Obviously, dogs is the right answer, but there's no right answer. Yeah. Let's see. John, do you play any musical instruments?
No. As a kid, I had a short relationship with the drums, but that was a very, very long time ago, and not since.
It's not for everybody. You can't have all the skills, right?
No. If I could, I'd love to play the guitar, but I can't do that. And maybe never say never. I might get somebody very patient to teach me one day, but at the moment, no musical instruments.
That would be a fun one. And would you sing along as you play the guitar?
No. Certainly not if there was anyone around. Maybe if I was, alone out. My family's got some property out west, a very large acreage, out in the bush. And maybe if I was sitting by a campfire and no one else was around, because the closest neighbor's probably about 4 kilometers away, maybe then. Otherwise, no.
Sounds like the perfect place to turn up Bohemian Rhapsody really loudly and sing along. No one can judge you.
That's it.
All right. Let's see, John, what is the best dessert?
Well, I mean, down here in Australia, we have a pavlova. Pavlova is a very nice dessert. But probably for me, I would say an apple and rhubarb pie.
That sounds delicious. Delicious. All right, John, next card. Do you remember your first car?
Yes. And it was sort of reliable. The body of the car was very tired. If I was driving in the rain and I hit the brakes, water would flow down off the windscreen and find its way down behind the dash and would splash me on the feet. So I'm not sure that it was actually legal to drive it on the road, but that was my first car. It cost me about $600 or something, and it served its purpose until I was able to buy a more appropriate car.
Those kinds of cars definitely have their place on the planet, though. and they are much appreciated.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
right.
John, next card. What was your favorite subject in school?
I would have to say, I'd probably have to say history. Yeah, history and English were my two favourites. And here in, well, certainly when I went to school here in Queensland, you could choose modern history and ancient history as two separate subjects. So I did both. So yeah, but I enjoyed the history and English.
All right. Let's see. Is there, John, any word that you just consistently misspell and have to always go back and correct?
Ooh, not I can't think of one that immediately pops to mind. One word that I always stumble on, I did some work with youth justice here. So some, there's restorative justice type conferencing situations for juvenile offenders. And we from time to time had to talk about the rates of recidivism. And recidivism was a word that just took me forever to be able to get my mouth around, and probably I would misspell it from time to time as well. So I'd go with recidivism.
First, that's an excellent word. Yeah, I think that it's one of the words that you have to sort of sound out inside your mind, like alphabetizing things. I still have to say the ABCs to myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? I don't know. I don't know. John, do you like working from home, or do you prefer a separate office?
I'm probably a little bit from each camp, really. I certainly like the convenience of being from home, but at the same time, being in an office with colleagues is always a nice thing to be able to be collegial and debrief certain things and so on in real time with people right there. I think is helpful. Birthdays, other sort of events that you might have a cake for, or farewells or welcomes or whatever might happen in the office. So, so I'm lucky I get to do both. I have an office up in Brisbane, but that's sort of just about an hour and a half commute each way. So they're sort of longish days by the time I put an hour and a half either side of it in a commute. But I can balance that out. I'm up there a few days a fortnight, and then down here at work from home the rest of the time.
Nice lifestyle. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. John, do you regularly eat breakfast? And if so, what do you eat for breakfast?
So always eat breakfast. No one wants to know me if I have missed my breakfast. I can miss every other meal in the day, but I have to have my breakfast. The second part of the answer is really boring. I don't know if you have them where you are, but Vita Brits or Wheat Bix, just the sort of those little rectangular wheat biscuits. So that with a banana and a cup of coffee, and I'm easy satisfied. Other than perhaps I try once a month. There's a really nice coffee shop near where I live, and so I go there once a month to have a nice brekkie with my eggs Benedict and my proper coffee rather than the stuff I make here. But otherwise, yeah. So yes to brekkie every day, and normally Wheat Bix and a banana.
That's a nice breakfast.
Yeah.
That's a nice breakfast. All right. John, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I guess the jury's out on how well I speak English, but because you can definitely pick the Aussie in me. But certainly English, and I don't know if it's fair to say I can speak Danish. There is some Danish in me, though. I lived there for a year, picked it up. I'm very rusty. It's not a language that you get much opportunity to practice, but I find when I do get back there from time to time, after a couple of good Danish beers, it tends to come back. I don't know if that's because I learned most of my Danish having had a few Danish beers or not. I'm not sure, but no, Danish to a small degree, English and Danish.
All right, good. That's a good combination. And Denmark is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
I can understand the draw there. And John, I'll ask you the same question that I always save to the end of an idle chat. And that is, what do you love most about the work that we do in the resolution industry?
I think it's even in matters that might at first blush seem purely commercial, experience demonstrates that really there's always some relationship at some level in pretty much every dispute. And so to be able to assist parties to maintain and in some cases improve relationships is something that I think is a real privilege. So for me, it's the relationships, it's that people aspect of it, and helping them maintain those relationships is pretty special.
It really is. It really is. Well, John, thank you so much for spending some of your valuable time having an idle chat with me. It's really lovely getting to know you a little bit.
Thank you. It's absolutely been my pleasure, and I've really enjoyed watching. When we connected, I went off and made sure I watched a few just to understand what they're about, and I think they're a fantastic initiative. It's really fantastic to hear from people all around the world.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it. It is one of the great benefits of the COVID experience, that we had to create these fun reasons to get together and check in with one another and meet new people. It's a great privilege for me to sit here in this seat and meet everybody all around the world.
Yeah, no, well, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks very much, John. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, thank you. See you later.